Welcome to this tutorial. In this section we will cover the product configurator. So we will navigate to the product configurator, and here is where we're going to build our products. So in this case we will build our first product as a roller. So I'm going to call this one roller. So the parameter name is the parameter of your product. So in this case I'll call it roller. I'll call it measure name. What I'm going to display to my customer, it will be measure, and the category to each this product is going to be assigned to be, in my case it will be roller. We can assign to multiple product categories or just a simple one. I'll just leave the parameter type to radio box, but you can choose multiple if you want to. The sequence number is the way it will display as an option to your product page. So let's save that. Now that we added, we also need to add our options. So we're going to go to the options, and in here we're going to configure and add our first option. So our first option, it will be related to measurement. So let's call it fabric size. The code is required for you in the case that you're going to do integration, EDI integration with your supplier, because you must specify what will be this option code so they understand on how to map it. So in this case we're going to call it exactly the same, but I'll take out the space. There is no value. The value is here in the case that you configure this option as an accessory to your product. In this case might be a remote or something else which costs a little bit different. So in our case we'll have no value. You can also specify this is the default option and there is no dependable options. So we're going to save the option and we're going to add another option. So we're going to call this one this, and I'm going to do that. So saying this is not the default options because you already done that, and then we just leave it like the way it is. Okay. And now that we've done this, we're just going to go back to our product configurator and we're going to add another parameter, and this parameter will be called control. So we will display this as control side. We will again choose our roller and we'll just leave everything the way it is. Now we're going to go, as you can see they both have the sequence number as 0. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go a little bit to edit and I'm going to specify this is number 1. So then it will show in order. Now we're going to go to options and we're going to specify what options we're going to have. So we're going to have a left side, and we're going to just leave the way it is, and we're going to add another one. I'm going to say right side, and we're going to say this one is our default. Okay, we're also going to add an option, and we're going to call this option motorized, and this one has a value of 1250 and is not a default option. I'm going to save that. Now we're going to go back to our product and we're going to add another parameter, and we're going to call this one roller, and we're going to call it roller remote. Okay, so we're going to call this one remote. Going to select our category, we're just going to put this as number 3, and then now what we're going to do, we're going to add some dependable options. So we're going to have no remote as a default, and it depends on the following options. If I have a motorized selected as a control side, then my product becomes automated into a motor, and then I have the option to select a remote to this. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add one channel remote. I'm going to this one, it costs £10. It's not a default, it depends on motorized. And I'm going to add another one. I'm going to say a 5 channel remote. and this one has a code, and it also costs around 33.50, and it also depends on motorized. I can add up to 4. In this moment, in this version of plugin, we have only enabled 2 dependable options. The third and the fourth is not yet in use. You are, however, in the next release version, those 3 and 4 will also be available. In my case, in this case, if I would say that this depends on fabric size and also depends on motorized, those 2 options must be ticked by the customer before these 5 channels remote is going to show as a price, else it will not display. So we'll just leave this like that, and you will try it a bit later. Okay, and this is how you configure your product. So this is how you do add an option, and then back to that option you can make it dependable. So you can say, if I have this option, you can only choose these other options. That's how you can transform your product from a standard product to a motorized or more premium product. In the next tutorial, we will cover the order export. But before we go into the order export, I think it's important for us to actually go and create a product to see how we're going to assign our product configurator that we just built to a product in WooCommerce. So stay tuned to see how you can do this. If you like it, just give it a like.